Good morning. Good morning, everybody. It's Trash Tuesday. I want to thank Amy Robinson for her continued reporting on the 8 passenger scandal. Um, she's one of my, she's a great source for me to figure out what's going on, even if it's a minor update. But this is interesting information. So apparently, Ruby already had some minor legal problems before she got arrested for like serious child abuse, right? So we're going to discuss the speeding ticket first within this video, and then we get into the problems that Jody has been having with copyright infringement with the former company that she was working with before she created Connections. Now, I don't know where she lands on this because, well, I mean, she's a terrible person. So I don't think that her situation is quite as comparable to mine, where I was defamed within an organization and threatened to take down everything, and they tried to steal my social media assets from me, while defaming me not only within the company but also outside of the company within political circles, because they're predator protectors, and they were being manipulated by the guy that put his hands on me and refused to take them off when I said, no, you're being inappropriate. But anyway, I don't think that our stories are totally relatable that way. But no, I have not taken down the logos from these organizations, because I basically set up a scenario where if they want to force that, they're going to have to take me to court, at which point I get discovery to find out what conversations they were having to defame me within their organizations, to put me in a position where I was no longer able to effectively run my chapter. But anyway, that's my own bitterness, so let's get into this.
My kids were being hurt. With entitlement, they were being hurt.
By you?
With people's advice, and they didn't have a mother up the front saying, I don't care what the world's opinion is. This is the truth, and this is where I...
They didn't have a mother at the front? This is one of the confusing things I have about Ruby Franke, is that she keeps talking about my children didn't know what love was. Why? My baby knew what love was from the moment he was born. How the hell did your kids not know what love was? Holy shit.
stand. And fortunately, I had a chance. I had them in my home long enough to do it, and I'm not going to lose them.
Famous last words from Ruby right there. Who's actually supposed to be appearing in court today for a speeding offence, a traffic offence. It's not for the reasonings that all of us would have thought about. And if you haven't heard already, I think this came out like last month or something, where we found out that she'd actually pleaded not guilty to going a 50 miles an hour in a 35 mile an hour zone. So I'll throw up the documents here. You can find more of it out on the Reddit thread, or if you're nifty enough on the computer, I'm sure you can find it yourself. And we're also going to get into the fact that Jody Hildebrand is no stranger to the courtroom either. So she has actually, I found these documents out on the Reddit thread as well, but she has been in trouble for like copyright infringement and basically like being a part of this company and then them having a bit of a falling out. So the company then basically asked her to remove, X, Y, and Z from websites and, logos, etc., which I'll get into more information, to which she basically ignores it. So I suppose they then had to take her to court. So this whole situation of them two, like, how is that living in your truth? How are any of this? I know these things are minor compared to what is going on right now, but I do still think it is like... they both hold everyone else to such a high standard until you then realise the kind of stuff.
It's, you know what though, it's not, I think we should stop calling it that. It's not that they're holding people to a high standard. They have created a dream world, which is somewhat sadistic, and they're holding them to that standard. That's not a high standard. That is a standard of sadism, masochism, right? Where you're torturing your patients. You're, I mean, quite literally. She had these children in bondage. She convinced Ruby to send, and Kevin to send Chad to one of these extreme wilderness camps, and then had, explained that he needed deprivation, right? He needed to be sleeping on what was it, like a big pillow, right? Something like that, and removing doors from the bedrooms, and even the bathroom. In Jody's case, she talked about removing the bathroom door and, keeping all the other children away, but, walking back and forth to make sure that the child isn't exploring his or her body, because she was a sick woman. She was a sick woman projecting all of her own insecurities, all of her own weird beliefs around the LDS church onto this poor family and several other families, separating couples, causing divorces. I mean, all right. Okay.
That they get up to, like, you have to practice what you preach. Don't be around here telling everyone, how everyone should be behaving, how we're all living in distortion, when in actuality, Jodie's out here stealing other people's things, and Ruby's out here speeding away down the motorway. I mean, I'm just not understanding it. Now, Ruby was issued this fine just days before her arrest, and on the 18th of September, she pleaded not guilty. The court date is now set to today, which is the 14th of November at 4:30 p.m. Utah time. Now,
it's hilarious because, like, most people who are trying to challenge traffic tickets are banking on the fact that the officer who issued the ticket probably won't show up, right? And therefore, I'm not, but it's like a 50-50 on that. I can guarantee that cop is going to show up because this is a high profile case at this point. So yeah, she's going to get some sort of ticket, a fine. She will also, in order to remove those penalties from her license, have to take traffic school. And realistically, she can't do any, well, I don't know. I don't know what it's like in jail, or because she's being held in jail now. When she ultimately gets sentenced, I mean, it would be an incredible miscarriage of justice if she doesn't get sentenced. But when she gets ultimately sentenced, she will be in prison.
If you're over here in the UK, you're probably not going to hear about it until much later on at night, or you're going to hear about it tomorrow morning, because I do believe we're about 7 or 8 hour away difference. So yeah, but I can't quite believe that she's even fighting this, especially considering what is even going on, because she would have appeared, she would have made her plea after all of this has now gone down, after she was arrested. So
well, that's a testament of her character, because seriously, just like get rid of it, just pay the fine and do your I think they have like traffic school online now. I mean, I haven't had a speeding ticket in like over 20 years, but I just don't see that as like, pick your battles, bitch. What the fuck? Why are you you know what? This might be her attention-seeking bullshit, where she wants to just keep her name in the news so that she probably in her mind thinks that she is going to somehow evade charges and get out of this, right? And then she can resume her channel and go back to her life, and it's all going to be just fine. It's not, Ruby. You can't have your kids tied down, malnourished, with bone-deep lacerations, and think you're going to get away with it. It's not going to happen.
Like, you might as well just say guilty and just get it over and done with. Like, why are you wanting just to stand in court and argue with it? I mean, considering the charges that have been put on her, 6 counts of child abuse. What is this? And you're out here fighting a speeding ticket? I'm pretty sure I actually read in those documents that the fine would have been about $160 if I have read that correctly, which is, I don't think she'd have any way of paying it now she's in jail, but I'm just thinking, do you know what I mean?
No, but it's not like she doesn't have any money. She has bank accounts. Other people have access to those bank accounts, like Kevin probably, right? Somebody can get the money out and actually, I don't think they froze her assets because she didn't commit a financial crime as far as we know, right? She committed child abuse. They don't seize your assets for that. They put forth the criminal penalties.
Bigger fish to fry, bigger things going on. What are you playing at? But talking about their criminal case, because of course this is traffic court. Talking about their criminal case, we haven't heard anything yet. There's no more additional information about when their next hearing could be, but we're still waiting for it. And I understand that the last court hearing got pushed back because of the amount of information, but that was a little while ago. So I'm very interested to know exactly what information has come out and how and why that has pushed this hearing back so much. Is it because they just don't have enough space to fit the case in, or is it well and truly because there is just so...
No, I doubt that, because we're talking about a bail hearing. They still haven't even had a bail hearing at this point. And the last information I heard on that was that it was their defense attorneys who were saying that there was so much information to review that they weren't ready yet to defend them in the bail hearing.
Much information for the lawyers to go through. I'm definitely not a legal expert, so my guess is as good as anyone else's at this point.
Somebody said in a post, exploring their sexuality at 12 is reasonable. It's like, what? Why?
Yeah, it is, Jody. Totally fucking reasonable. And that's bullshit, because you probably did it yourself. Oh my God. What are you trying to teach kids? They're exploring their bodies as they grow up. And they're like, okay, what does this do? What does this look like? What does a vagina look like? Because there's so many parts to what's going on down there, right? They want to check it out. They want to see what, touching things in a certain way make me feel, right? But you go on, bitch.
The world is a 12-year-old exploring their sexuality. They're supposed to be out playing with animals and little girls and going to school learning about,
And getting their first period. And starting to develop breasts. And starting to have certain sensations on these various body parts. Right, Jody? What do you think, they're going to be 8 forever?
Science!
Well, if Jodie had been learning science and, playing with animals outside, then she would have stayed away from copyright infringement. I found this over on the Reddit thread, and she basically had partnered up or had been given a certain leverage with this company's license to be able to distribute and use some of their materials. So this company is called LifeStar, who specialize in helping porn addictions and various different addictions and aiding you in recovery. So it is really...
Which is all bullshit, by the way. So the company itself also subscribes to the same sort of thinking as Jody. And I mean, these are the types of companies that try and force gay people to become straight. That's what we're talking about here. This is just fucking nuts that they can't realize that having sexual desires is actually healthy and normal for everybody.
Quite specific. Now, it does actually state in these documents that under the license, Miss Hildebrandt was appointed a provider of the program within the territory and was granted a non-transferable license. So she was able to use trademarks, copyrights, trade secrets, and other intellectual property rights within the territory that she was then given. However, there was, according to these documents, there was a series of, I forgot what they even called it, due to a series of events. LifeStar basically tried to, detract that and tried to stop her from becoming, a distributor or whatever they were saying. And Jody basically did not comply with these demands. On December 2012, they sent a letter to Miss Hildebrandt providing a notice of termination, which was going to be terminated the following year. So she did actually have plenty of time to take everything down from her website, because I do believe, according to these documents, a lot of it was revolved around Jody Hildebrandt's website, where she would basically keep up and have all of the logos from LifeStar and have credentials and have this and that. So it made it look like she was a part of their company, that she was working for them. But of course they had a falling out. Now I would love to know what this little falling out was about, because we do know that Jody Hildebrandt, one of her main niches, one of her main credentials was the fact that she specialized in porn and substance abuse, porn addiction, something a bit like that. She kind of just worked with addiction.
Yeah, it was all addictions. She was assigning addictions to all of her patients. But it's got to be pretty bad when you have a company that's already engaging in poor practices of counseling people, trying to convince people that they have addictions. Porn addiction is not a real thing. It's not a real thing. I know several people who believe that they're sex addicts who are evangelicals. I'm not going to judge anybody on their, well, maybe I will a little bit. I'll be real. But, if you want to go out there and slut yourself out, whatever. I mean, that's your choice. Y'all grown adults. And as long as you're not spreading STDs, AIDS, and, you're being respectful and you're not, ghosting people and hurting, causing a lot of hurt feelings. I got hurt feelings. I got hurt feelings. Just be respectful about what you want to do. If you want to go out there and fuck around, go ahead and fuck around. If you want to look at porn mags, do that. If it gets to the point where you can't have healthy relationships, then maybe you do have a problem. But in general, I don't think that that's actually a real problem. It's probably deeper if you're doing that. It probably is related to something else, where you have to live in a fantasy world, escapism, right? So it's probably slightly different than what they're trying to espouse as being the actual problem.
She's mostly revolving around porn and the like, which I just don't understand how and why she would ever want to do it when she is so dead against just any of that stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's she's just not the person for the job.
Jody Nan Hildebrandt.
Yes.
Now, after all of this had happened, after the termination of the license July 31st, 2013, she continued to use the website using LifeStar's trademarks and materials, which was not what she was supposed to be doing. So then after all that, on August 30th, they sent her another letter, which was once again met with nothing. And this basically carried on going until, LifeStar, well, this is what it is, them writing out to the court. I don't actually know what happened, what the end result was. I can't find any documentation anywhere. I do understand, 110%. Can you imagine putting all your hard work, you've got this big company, you've got good credentials, you're actually distributing people to also be a part of your work, and then someone like Jody comes along and just ends up stealing all of your stuff, and you can't get through to her. Now, can you imagine if that company still had ties with her in this kind of time period? People would be like, what the hell? Who are this company? Imagine how bad they would look. And this is exactly the reason why this kind of stuff, you can't just go stealing people's credentials, you can't just go stealing people's logos, because they'll then think that you're affiliated with that company. Now, obviously, everyone knows this. Everyone knows that copyright infringement is not a good thing to do. But this woman thinks she is above the law. The amount of things that we have heard her do that are just unlawful, and I'm not just talking about the 6 counts of child abuse. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the other things. I talk about all the other things we've heard, even with Adam Steed. What she did to Adam Steed back in the day, when she basically wrecked his whole entire existence by reporting him. I think it was reporting him to BYU, and he lost everything. He also lost his wife and his kids. But the point is that, and that's one of the reasons why she got her license suspended and then given back to her. But the point I'm trying to make is that these two literally think that they are above the law. Well, they must do, because they've got convicted of this. But even before this, they were getting up to all sorts of little shady things. And I just think they used to spend so much of their time preaching, so much of their time just telling us how we should be and how we should treat other people and how we should raise our kids, and our way of thinking is wrong. When in actuality, they're the ones... It's them. Anyway, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. I just wanted to share these 2 little bits with you. Today,
it's important to remember that Jody Hildebrandt not only is divorced, but during her divorce, she lost complete custody of her children. She cannot be around them at all. And she continued counseling families as though she knows what's happening. Ruby asked her husband to leave her home and abandon her family. These are not women who can give you any sort of ideas about what life should look like. And in fact, they're very sadistic, malicious people, allegedly.
Is the 14th of November 14th, 4:30 Utah time. It is Ruby Franke's traffic court day. I mean, at this point, why is she still fighting? Why? Just stop it. There's no point. She's not even going to be out to drive anyway. She's not even going to be bloody let out. She's probably going to go to prison. So there's no point. Just pay it, or just say guilty. At this point, it's so dumb. But I'm glad that they are not letting her off the hook with these things, considering that what she's actually, what she's going to go in for is a hell of a lot worse than obviously getting a speeding ticket. But I'm glad that she's still being held accountable, and I would actually really like to know what the hell was the end result in Jody and LifeStar's disagreement. Did they actually end up going to court? I really need to do some further digging on that. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day wherever you are in this world. Take care of each other, take care of yourselves, and I'll catch up with you guys.
Yeah. Amy's got a great channel, y'all. These 2 ladies live in a complete alternate universe. That's why they think that they can abuse children the way that they did, and that they can come up with these concoctions of parenting plans. And um, it's a real statement of Trump's America that they have followings the size that they have. A lot of you need to pull your heads out of your asses, for real, and stop believing all the bullshit from the people you're like, oh, but I like them because they look like lifestyles of the rich and famous. So therefore, they must know everything. They must be living a good life. Not so much anymore, right? These two ladies are going to be going to prison for a long time.